And good afternoon, everyone. It's Brenda here. And did you know I'm a naturopath and I specialize in menopause. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the biggest mistake that menopausal women make when they've got gut issues and in particular are feeling really bloated. So, they feel like they're 9 months pregnant, bit gassy, a bit windy, maybe a bit burpy, and it's extremely uncomfortable. So it tells us that there's an issue with digestion, and particularly an issue with carbohydrate digestion, because fermented or undigested carbohydrates ferment and produce gas. So we can pretty much assume that if we have wind, there's some kind of fermentation going on, and also if we have pain, that there's inflammation going on. Both those things in the gut are very unpleasant. So the biggest mistake that we make when we are trying to, make ourselves healthy and clear up the gut is to eat more fiber. So fiber is deliberately hard to digest. It's got a function and it's important, but it's indigestible. So it's kind of, some of it's food for bacteria to feed on, to produce they're called prebiotics, some fibers, and others are designed to bulk up the stool so things move through us. But if you have a challenge for whatever reason with your microbiome or your pancreatic function or various other conditions that end up with slow gut motility, so everything goes through slowly, maybe a thyroid issue or something like that, which is very common around menopause, then you're going to be challenged. So the first thing to do is to test it, to avoid the excessive starchy, fibery carbohydrates, and to see what happens. And there's a few things to consider. Gluten is another ingredient in food that can cause a lot of bloating, so we want to rule that out as well. But aside from that, as far as it goes with fruits and vegetables, the thing is to consider, if you're having fruit, and I highly recommend fruit as a general rule, but not to have too much, because it does have natural sugars in it that can ferment. That's how we make wine, right? Or how we make alcohol. And that is to try them peeled. So peeled fruit might be easier for you to digest. So if you're going to have an apple, peel the apple and have it raw that way. Or the other thing is to not have fruit raw. So a much easier way to have fruits on our digestive system is to cook them. So you might have baked pears or stewed apples, or even nectarines, crisped up in the frying pan with a bit of butter, just to really soften the fruit. Similarly with vegetables, I'd highly discourage you from eating raw foods. Sorry, I went off there for a moment. Eating raw vegetables. Raw vegetables take a lot of digestive energy, and if you've got a limited amount already and there's something going on down there, then stick with boiled or even steamed or baked vegetables where they've been softened, and ideally where the fiber structure has broken down a little bit more, so they're much easier to digest. You may just even want to eat a little bit less vegetable, and that way there's other things that you can have that have less fiber in them that can be very helpful. And then one final thing is grains. Grains and vegetables and legumes are the hardest foods to digest, and they're all either high in fiber, super high in fiber, or they've got like seeds, for example, they have a casing around them that's hard to digest, deliberately so. Seeds and grains are a seed, basically. They are grown by nature so that they survive floating in the wind, and when they find some perfect soil that's moist and beautiful, then they deactivate and they start to grow. So there's anti-nutrients in grains that make them difficult to digest. So they either have to be prepared in a proper way, usually by fermentation, or they have to be avoided, or they have to be activated, as in the case with nuts and seeds. And so your preparation of your food becomes super important. And then one final thing about absorbing nutrients from foods. If you don't digest very well, then pretty much 100% guaranteed you'll be nutrient deficient. And you'll know that because you'll be nervy, or you won't be able to put on weight. You'll be it's maybe a skin condition or something like that will indicate that you're deficient in nutrients, because nutrients feed our bodies. And so in that case, we need to make sure that most of these fruits and vegetables and grains get eaten with a fat. So if you're going to have a piece of fruit, have a few nuts with it, activated preferably. If you're going to have a piece of bread, make sure it has lots of butter on it. So fats help us absorb the nutrients out of the rest of our meal. There you go. There's a little bit of a nutritional science talk for you. If you have any questions, quickly pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. If you don't have any questions, or they come up later, then post them in the comments later. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And if you're needing support and guidance on all of this stuff, it's a tricky route to navigate to get gut issues sorted, especially when there's an emotional component, which is another factor I haven't even touched on. And so be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, and get support, because it's virtually impossible to do all this on your own. And if I can help you, then please drop me a line, direct message me, give me a call, and I would be delighted to help. Have a great day, everyone. Just checking questions. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon. Pick those kids up from school or whatever you're doing. Take care.